Hey guys, it's Brian from Frostbite Off-Road. We're back in the garage. We've got another modification we're going to be doing on the Jeep. Today we're adding a switch panel in preparation for our locker install. Let's go ahead and take a look. So today we're installing a kit from Lasfit. This setup's pretty sweet. I don't know if you guys have seen this before or not, but they have these factory style switches that are designed to run the lockers and then also provide you 2 extra auxiliary options as well. They do have a full kit that comes with the right side panel as well, and that'll get you 4 more of these auxiliary buttons. So with my kit, I did go ahead and get the one that is for the Mopar factory switches. So it comes with just the left side. These are pretty cool. They did a really good job of trying to match the Rubicon red, and the buttons are almost exactly the same as the Mopar ones, so it'll look really nice in the dash. Just as full disclosure, Lasfit did reach out to the channel and they did supply this for us. I am excited about getting it in the Jeep though. It's a pretty sweet product. I've seen it in other Jeeps and it's a pretty clean install. I am excited about gaining the dedicated locker buttons. Right now I've got my front locker on number 4, and if you didn't know my Jeep, you wouldn't know that. So another cool thing is they do have a safety feature. It does plug into the CAN bus, so you can only lock those buttons when it's in 4 low, which is pretty cool. You don't want anybody popping your locker on while you're on the highway. So I'm excited about that feature. I'm excited about how it matches the Mopar setup. And we are doing an axle install series where we're gonna be installing a Rubicon rear axle that's trussed into my Jeep. That'll match my factory Rubicon front axle, so now I'll have the buttons for that, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at what you get in this kit, and then we'll get it installed. Okay, so this is what's gonna come in the kit. So you are gonna get the factory looking button panels. These are pretty nice. They've got a nice click to them. And they also have a little pass-through for your CB or your GMRS radio. You'll hook this up to your radio, run it to the back here, and then you can hook your mic up to this. I'm probably actually gonna use that. That's pretty cool. I have to stretch my mic cord quite a bit to reach, so that's pretty nice. So I'm looking forward to doing that. They do give you the little mount here for the control module. This is gonna go under the hood by the battery. So kind of where your factory little wire harness is if you have the auxiliary switches. And this is gonna be that control module. It's a pretty nice module, it is waterproofed. It's IP66 rating, and this is gonna provide you the 2 locker inputs right here, and then we're also gonna get the 2 auxiliary things. They did cap these off really nice, so if you're not using them, that's nice. We are gonna probably use most of them, so we'll just cut this off and you'll splice in your locker harness there. It does hook up directly to your battery. It's gonna be positive and negative. We'll hook that up, and it does include all the wiring harnesses you need to hook up to your factory setup and also to your CAN bus system, so you can control whether or not those lockers work in 4 low or 4 high. This is going to be the power supply there. This goes to the cigarette lighter. So this is a pretty cool setup. They did even include a grommet for the pass-through through the firewall, so that's pretty cool too, so we can keep everything waterproofed and tight. So this is a pretty cool kit, guys. We do have a coupon code. It's gonna be Frost15, so if you wanna save a little money on getting this kit, you can. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick install. I'll show you guys kind of how to do it and whatnot. They do have a really good install video on their website. You can check that out for more details. Let's get this in the Jeep. I'm pretty excited about this one. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get this switch panel in the Jeep. Like I said, this is going to be a brief install video. We're just going to go over the basics. If I come across any tips or tricks, I'll let you guys know. Lasfit does have really good instructions on their website, so you can always check those out as well. So we're going to start under the hood. We got to get that control module put together, put it under the hood, run the wires to the firewall, and then we'll do everything else inside. So let's go ahead and do that. So first off, we're going to go ahead and we're going to mount our control module here to their bracket they provide. This is a really nice bracket. It's painted. This is going to go right next to the factory battery and harness they have for the auxiliary switches, so that's pretty cool. And then this will just go on the back there. We'll hook them up at these 2 points, get it hooked up to here. We're going to run the wires over to the firewall across the top there, and then it's going to go through the firewall where there's a factory plug. We're going to replace it with this, and the new wires will go right through that. It's pretty cool that they included this, guys. So let's go ahead and we'll throw this together real quick and we'll get it under the hood. Alright guys, I just want to go over some of the tools you need for the install. You are going to need a Phillips head, and then you're also going to need an assortment of sockets ranging from 12 down to 5.5. The factory brackets that hold the switch panel in are little 5.5 millimeters here, so we need that. That's something not everybody's going to have. I do have this little kit that includes that. Another important thing that you might not have is a plastic trim tool to go ahead and pop your factory dash out. You don't want to mar that, so you'll need that. And then we will need some pliers and then a little ratchet if you want as well. So let's go ahead, we'll start getting this installed and show you how that goes. Alright, we got that all bolted up with our 7mm and a Phillips. Now that that's on there, we can go ahead and throw this in the Jeep. Let's go ahead and show you guys where that goes. So this is the factory battery on the passenger side. We've got a 10mm bolt here, and then we've got another hole here. We're going to go ahead and mount that bracket there, and then that module is going to sit right down in there, and then we're going to run the wire kind of where I've got that wire running all the way across, and then we'll go down through the firewall over on the driver's side there. So let's go ahead, let's make some room here for this, and we'll get that plate installed. Okay, I want to kind of show you guys how this fits in here. I did have to move around some other wiring I had in there. That's my KC lights, and then I've had my winch power and negative going there, so we did have to move those out of the way. This is where it's going to line up, factory bolt there that we're going to use, and then we've got a threaded hole here that we're going to go ahead and use the bolt they provided. It is pretty snug right up against the battery there, but there is room, so we'll go ahead and get that bolted down, and then we'll hook up the negative and the positive here. That'll go right here on that post there, and then the positive, there's two wires that'll go to the battery, and then like I said, we're going to run it along the back of the engine bay there and then over through the firewall. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get this buttoned up and then we can work on the inside. Alright, just going to show you what we got going on right now. So we went ahead and got this plate all buttoned up. We did hook it up to the negative there, the little post there right underneath there, and then also we ran our power right up here to the battery. Got that attached there. Now all we got to do is run our wires up into the inside of the Jeep. These are the hookups you can go ahead and run to your switches. We're going to tuck that in right here. Once we get all this ran up along there, we're going to go ahead and poke it through the firewall, and we should be all set underneath here. Okay, so we went ahead and ran all our wiring here. We went ahead and followed our other front locker wiring harness right through here. I did go ahead and loosen up these two 10mm bolts. This is the coolant reservoir. Gives you a little bit of wiggle room to go ahead and pull that harness through. So now that we're all the way over here, we'll secure it with a couple more zip ties. We do have that little plug, if you can see it down there in the firewall. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pull that out, and that's where our wires are going to go in. We're going to use the grommet here that Lasfit gave us. That'll pop right into that area down there, and then we can run our wires straight through there into the cabin. Okay, just kind of want to show you what that looks like. You do go ahead and pop the center of that grommet out, and then you go ahead and you feed the wires through. I suggest just doing one at a time. Get those through, and then you'll be all set. Now we'll push this down through that hole in the firewall, and this will seat itself on these little grooves on the sheet metal there. Okay, went ahead and got it all zip tied up along the back there. Went ahead and put it behind the coolant reservoir there, zip tied it to our other harnesses, and then ran it right down. You can see that grommet down there where we pulled the factory plug out, and those wires are running right behind the driver's side kick panel there for us. We got that all in there. We got our module all hooked up with the battery. So now let's go ahead and hop inside the Jeep and install our switch panels. Okay, so after we push that through the firewall there, this is where the cords are going to pop out for you. So that's pretty nice. Came through right up there. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop off this kick panel here, run the wires over. We're going to go ahead and start pulling our factory dash apart. We're going to get ready for putting our switch panels in there. This should be pretty easy, guys. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, we got plenty of room to work down here. We are going to go ahead and make some connections up here and then go ahead and pop this guy off. This is pretty easy as well. We're going to go ahead and pop this trim piece off, and then it'll gain access to where these window controls are, and there's a little screw that we got to pull out, and then this comes out pretty easy. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, now that we popped that guy off, we've gained access to the back here. We're going to want to go ahead and unhook our ignition button there, and then that little plug there, and then there's our little Phillips guy that we can go ahead and pull out, and then we can pop out this lower section here. All right, got that upper section out of the way. We're gonna go ahead and pull that little screw there, and then we'll have this panel off. There are a bunch of connections behind this we'll have to disconnect, and then we can go ahead and assemble our new Lasfit switches down in the bottom left there. Okay, now that that's free, you guys can see all the connections we got to disconnect back here. We'll go ahead and pop all these off, and then we'll take this over to the bench and we'll get our new switch panel installed. Okay, we went ahead and got this section out of the Jeep here for you. You can see right where our switch panel is going to go from Lasfit. This is pretty easy. We just got to go ahead and disconnect the 5.5mm screws in the back for this tray, pull this out, and then pop this guy in. Cool thing about these guys, besides just having the dedicated locker switches, is it does have this pass-through for a mic for like a CB or our GMRS. You go ahead and you plug it in the back there with the provided cord, hook it up to your radio, and then you can put your mic into that. It's pretty cool. I might actually end up using that. My cord has to get stretched pretty far from underneath the glove box, so I might utilize that, and then that way I can just throw the mic in the glove box while I'm not using it. So that's another really cool feature. So let's go ahead and we'll get this taken apart. This is pretty easy. Like I said, it's just going to be these 5.5mm screws in the back here. We'll pop out that tray, and then we'll pop in this guy there. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay guys, real quick, I was using that 5.5mm that the instructions say to use. It was popping off the screws a little bit, so I went ahead and switched over to a 7/32, and that actually seems to work a lot better. So I went ahead and took out 3 of these and loosened this one, and it actually loosens it up enough that we can go ahead and pop out that tray. So now that that tray's out, let's go ahead and get our switch panel installed in its place here. Alright, we got all our screws tightened back up. This looks pretty great. Don't want to go too tight on these, it is into plastic. That 7/32 does work a lot better than the 5.5mm. Let's go ahead and take a look. Wow, that does look pretty good. This does meet up nice and flush with our factory auxiliary switches, which is really nice. The buttons look very similar. They feel similar too. Maybe a little bit more plasticky, but they still feel great. And then it does match the factory kind of chrome trim I got going on here. I do have a Sport S, so normally if you had a Rubicon, this would have that chrome trim as well, and it would match. Not too big of a deal, I don't really care. It does accent this a little bit so you know where your lockers are, and it does match the rest of the trim we have around the Jeep. I do like how this turned out. Let's go ahead and get it thrown back in the Jeep. It was a pretty easy install. We do have some wiring still left to do. Not too big of a deal. It's all pretty much plug and play. I do like that it comes with the CAN bus hookup as well, so that these guys only work in 4-low, if you like that feature. I'll probably leave that on when I'm driving around town, and in case anybody's borrowing my Jeep, and then when I get to the trail, I'll probably turn it off. That way I can use it in 4-high if I need it. Alright, let's go ahead and throw this back in the Jeep, and we'll get the wiring done. So I went ahead and got this all thrown together, guys. Kind of show you what this looks like. This is going to be the Lasfit cigarette lighter cord, and then it plugs into our cord here with the fuse. That's going to then go down underneath the driver's side foot panel and hook into the cords we ran from the engine bay. This is going to be that power one there. You plug that in, that'll power your switches. And then this is going to be the CAN bus one. We're going to run that over to behind the glove box for you. So that's kind of what it looks like. This is going to get into the factory cigarette lighter cord that's right there for you. So pretty easy. We're just going to have to get all this buttoned up, tuck it in here real nice and clean, zip tie anything we need to, and then we should be all set. And then we'll go ahead and we'll throw it back together, and I'll let you guys know what I think. Alright, so one more shot at the wiring harness here. We did get it hooked up to our cigarette lighter power there. We've got our power cord all hooked up, powering the switches here. We got our CAN bus wire hooked up, and then we've got our microphone cord hooked up here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to run that back over to the passenger side behind the glove box so we can hook up our GMRS radio and our CAN bus wire. And then the other wire comes right up underneath here, and that's going to plug into the wires that go into the engine bay. So pretty easy, guys. We just got to get it all back together, and we got to fit it all back in here. Pretty simple though, plug and play. And then we'll have our switches here, and those are going to be great. Okay guys, just wanted to give you a shot from the passenger side. Factory glove box out of the way. It's pretty easy. You just fold it out. There's a little tab here. You press on that and it pops right out, and then you pull the hinge out. Pretty easy. Our CAN bus system there. So we'll just plug into one of these open ports we got right here. We did that for our AEV ProCal already, so we'll hook up there. We're going to run some cords up over here, And then we're going to hook up to our GMRS radio as well, which happens to be right there. So this will all be pretty neat once we got it all buttoned back up. Okay guys, we went ahead and got everything tucked back behind this lower section here. It all popped back in good. Got everything back in there all hooked up. Got our cords running over to our CAN bus and for our GMRS radio there. We'll tuck that up here in a minute. We got this all popped back in. These do look great down here. I am excited to get some use out of these. I am definitely planning on hooking up our lockers when we do our locker install video. So those will be great for that. Plus we gained 2 more auxiliary options there. So let's go ahead and we'll button everything back up. We got to plug the radio and the ignition. We got that plugged back in. We'll go ahead and button this all back up. And then we're done up here at the dash. We do need to go ahead and hook everything up down at the bottom there. And then we do have extra auxiliary wires down here in the footwell. If we do want to run stuff to that, we can, and hook them up to the switches here. So that's pretty cool. Real similar to the factory setup. We've got under the hood and under the glove box on the factory setup for those auxiliary switches. So very similar. It looks really nice in there. I think this is a pretty clean install, guys. Pretty easy, plug and play for the most part. Let's go ahead and get her back together and I'll let you know what you think. Alright, just wanted to give you guys a quick peek at the driver's side here. We did go ahead and zip tie it along with our AEV wiring harness we already have hooked up there. Ran it, zip tied it there to a factory harness. And then we went ahead and tucked our wires right behind that metal plate there. It's a perfect spot for it. And we've got our auxiliary wires there in case we want to hook anything up to that in the future. Let's go ahead and start popping everything back together. This turned out pretty good, guys. Alright, I just wanted to show you guys the passenger side. We got all that buttoned up. We went ahead and zip tied the extra mic cable and the CAN bus wiring harness. Tucked it right up in there. Looks pretty nice. Shouldn't interfere with the glove box at all. Everything's hooked up. We're hooked up down below on the radio there. So everything is ready to go. Got the dash back together. Got the driver's side all buttoned up. So we're pretty much done with this install. Let's go ahead and wrap this up and I'll let you know what I thought. Alright, we are all done with the install. We went ahead and got the driver's side buttoned up and the passenger side behind the glove box. Let's go ahead and fire these up, see if they work. Alright, looks like we got power to the switches. That's great. I'm assuming they're beeping because of the safety mode that they have built into the CAN bus that doesn't let you activate the lockers unless you're in 4 low. You can disable that though. You just have to pop your ignition to run without starting it and hold the rear locker button for 5 to 7 seconds and then that'll go into standalone mode. I'll probably do that when I get to the trail just so I have a little more freedom with the lockers there if I want to use them in 4 high or not. We also gained 2 more auxiliary spots there, which is great. Can't have enough of those. And then we've got our pass through for our mic for our GMRS. Let's go ahead and fire her up, see if she works. Okay, great. Yeah, it seems to be working just fine. We'll have to try it out on the trail, but that'll be really nice. Having that extra reach on the cord will be really nice. Before I had to kind of stretch it to get it to the cup holder where I would keep it while we were off-roading. So that's kind of nice that I have plenty of room now for that cable, and then I can also take it off when I'm not using it, which is cool. Okay guys, that's going to do it for the quick overview and the install of my Lasfit switch panels for the JL. I'm pretty excited about getting these in the Jeep. I'm excited about using them on the trail. I'll let you guys know how it works out. Guys, go ahead and check the links down below for Lasfit. You can head on over there, use that code FROST15, save yourself some money. And then guys, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this setup, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks guys.